Hey, good morning. It's January 18th. It's Monday, new day, new week. In the United States, at least, we're celebrating Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. And it fits with what I want to talk about today is the certainty of hope. One of the things that Dr. King stood for was bringing hope. But now some 50 plus years since those days, we find that hope is a fleeting thing. And part of that is because we are looking for hope, the source of hope, to be in circumstances rather than in the faithfulness of God. I'm going to look at Psalm 62, just two sections of it this morning to help us get a focus on what God means when he says hope. These words are familiar, but they are radical. So please hang in there with me and listen to what the Holy Spirit has for us in the voice of David in Psalm 62. I'm going to read verses 1 and 2 and 5 and 6 because they go together. They're almost identical except for a crucial change. I'm going to look at verses 3 and 4 probably tonight. But right now, 1 and 2 and 5 and 6, because of their similarness, they're almost seeming the same, but yet there's a very stark difference between the two lines. Verses 1 and 2. My soul finds hope in God alone. My salvation comes from him. Probably victory is a better word here because we tend to associate salvation only with our own personal salvation. And that would not be the case here in what it means in the immediate sense of the struggles that David is facing. So my salvation, rather my victory, comes from him. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. So David in these verses is in the midst of trial, and he had plenty of them, plenty of struggles, plenty of life storms, if you will, significant storms. But there's a shift in verses 5 and 6. The storm is still going on, and that's important. The storm is not abated. Now he says, find rest, O my soul, in God alone. Very similar to above. My hope comes from him. So he substitutes my victory comes from him to my hope comes from him. He alone is my rock, my salvation. This is in the larger sense. He is my fortress. I will not be shaken. So again, it's another difference. I will never be shaken now becomes I will not be shaken. There's a growing sense of confidence, of hope, of trust. But notice here, the confidence, his hope has not grown because the storm has backed off. Perhaps the storm is still raging strongly against him. You see, his confidence is not in the change in circumstance. His confidence is in the growing hope, the growing reality that God is his hope. As a matter of fact, we read here, both times, he alone is my rock. That rock brings hope. And this rock, this imagery of the rock, this brings us right to Matthew 7, in what Jesus talks about the difference between the wise and the foolish builders. They both built structures that appeared to be the same. The difference was the foundation. One was on sand, the other was on rock. In both cases, the storm came. In one case, during the storm, one was still standing. In the other case, the foolish one who did not build his hope on that rock, the house collapsed. See, that's the issue of biblical hope. Hope is not about my expectation that things will be better. Sometimes we confuse our expectation with God's hope. Hope is knowing that God is faithful to me, and that hope is not faithfulness of God. His loving kindness, his covenant care is never determined by the circumstance, but by his promise. So we have that sense of David in the first couple of verses saying, I will never be shaken, to I will not be shaken. The storm is still going on, but he's come to realize his hope is not in the storm going away, but in the confidence of God remaining, the faithfulness of God remaining, the hope of God. God is our hope. We are secure. May that be our thought as we begin this week. Again, thanks for being here, and we'll look more at this tonight. Again, Lord bless you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.